Let's take a look at some interesting error coins that were recently sold at auction. Let's start off with a great Lincoln cent error coin that you might even be able to find in your pocket change. This is a 1998 memorial cent that was struck once normally, but instead of being ejected from the coining press, it somehow got flipped around, stayed inside the collar of the press, and then was struck a second time. That is why when you look closely, there are details from both sides of the coin on both sides of the coin. This is what is known as a flip-over double-struck error coin. It really is all in the name. This example was graded by PCGS as MS65 red and was sold at auction for $264. A Broadstruck error coin is a very specific error type that basically happens when the collar die of the coin press fails to deploy correctly. The collar is meant to contain the planchet, give it its perfectly round shape, and in the case of a coin which has some edge reading or a design on the edge, also impart those details as well. So when this error occurs, the metal flows unpredictably, or to say it another way, basically squeezes out in all directions when the coin is struck. This 2000 dated Lincoln penny is an example of just such, graded by NGC as MS64 red, and it sold at auction for $552. This type of error always makes for a fantastic conversation piece, especially with people who aren't generally collectors or overly familiar with error coins. A Kennedy half-dollar coin struck about 75% off center. The date is not even seen on the coin, but the planchet, or the coin blank, is a 40% silver one, so that places it in a date range between 1965 and 1970 for when this particular coin could have been struck. Graded by PCGS as MS64, this eye-catching half-dollar was sold at auction for $1,260. When you think of a 1969 S penny, then immediately the mind jumps to the famous double the obverse variety, but here we have an example of something a little bit different. A proof 1969 S cent that has a major cut on the obverse of the coin, obscuring, or more technically I suppose removed altogether, the RUST section of the word trust, just above Lincoln's forehead. This error happens when the coining die used to strike these coins experiences a catastrophic failure, and a chunk of it just literally breaks off, leaving the metal to flow into the now missing section of the design. This coin was graded by Anax and at auction was sold for $1,320 with a grade of Proof 65 Cameo. A coin struck on the wrong planchet is already a pretty big error for the mint, but if that planchet is also made of a different metal, then you get a very strange error coin like this copper Jefferson nickel that was inadvertently struck on a planchet intended for a Lincoln cent. This example, minted at the Denver Mint in 1971, was authenticated by PCGS with a grade of MS64, and at auction it was sold for $1,140. Some error coins are simply more obvious than others, and this one is about as obvious as they come. A barber dime that was struck about 55% off center when this coin was minted. The blank planchet was not seated properly in the press, instead laying about halfway in and halfway out. And so when the coin was struck, you get this error coin. Today, graded by NGC with a grade of AU58, this coin was sold at auction for the sum of $1,800. And then sometimes, although very rarely, the previous two errors can compound and you end up with something bizarre like this. A Washington quarter struck somehow about 50% off center on a planchet intended for a Lincoln cent. The mint mark is clearly seen on the reverse, a D for the Denver Mint, but the date is completely off planchet for the obverse. Although, judging from the color of the coin, it does seem to be a copper planchet, so struck at least some time before 1982 at least. It was graded by PCGS as MS64 brown, and when it crossed the auction block, it raised $1,320. Here we have another wrong planchet error coin. This time though, it was a Franklin half dollar that was mistakenly struck on a Washington quarter dollar planchet, confirmed by the coin's weight of 6.18 grams, in addition to just the overall size of the coin as well. This undersized 1962 half dollar from the Denver Mint was graded by PCGS as MS61 and was sold at auction for the sum of $2,040. And now for an older coin, a Liberty Head Double Eagle from 1892 to be precise. And at first glance, the coin largely appears to be normal, except if you take a closer look on the obverse, just between the date and star number 1, you'll see that there is a somewhat minor struck-through error. What might at first glance appear to be post-mint damage is actually the result of some mysterious foreign object that was lodged between the gold blank and the coin press when the coin was struck, leaving this curved impression. Authenticated by NGC with a grade of MS62, this gold coin was sold at auction for $2,400. Now, here's something that you don't see every day. A mated pair of 2023 1/10 of an ounce Britannia coins. One coin normally struck from the obverse and the other similarly so from the reverse, but both coins being effectively blank on the opposite sides. It seems that these two gold planchets were fed into the minting press at the same time and then struck as one, hence the reason why these coins are mated and are only impressed on one side. Graded together as a pair by NGC as MS69, it sold at auction for $2,520. A dual denomination error coin is usually fascinating to encounter, like this coin, which is both a 1 cent and a 1 dime, having first been minted correctly as a Roosevelt dime in 1996 at the Denver Mint, and then somehow the dime found its way into the penny press where it was once again struck as a Lincoln cent. As a result, you can now see elements of the designs of both coins on the obverse and reverse of the coin. Graded by PCGS as MS64, this error coin raised $2,880 at auction. The next coin is an Indian head penny that was double struck, meaning that the 1908 cent was not fully ejected from the coining press, and then it was struck a second time, only this time about 55% off center from where it should have been, leading to a coin that makes it feel like you're seeing double. Graded by NGC as MS62 brown, it was sold at auction for an impressive $4,080. Then we have an Eisenhower dollar coin that seems to have been severely clipped or cut down to size. What this actually is, in fact, a large dollar that was struck on a clad half-dollar planchet. Hence the reduced size and the fact that a lot of the detail, including the date, are missing, or off planchet, as it were. This coin was graded by PCGS as MS63, and at auction it was able to secure a final price of $5,040. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch another video about error coins right here next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.